If you go behind to where the dishes are being washed, the food that is wasted over 60%, they will only eat 40 or 30%. And even according to the World Food Organization, 30% of food is wasted. Yet we have got over half of our population which goes hungry. Love for the Prophet does not mean that you have got a very big beard and a kanzu and a turban. Love for the Prophet means that you should follow every instruction to the maximum of your human ability. Love for the Prophet means that when it is Rajab, you should respect Rajab. You should not fight over petty issues. I'm sad to say today, I saw people fighting over petty issues inside the masjid. Inside the masjid, fighting over petty issues. And not only was this petty issues, it was at the time of sunset, when the time for du'as are being accepted. That is the time you're fighting over small issues. Don't close this door, don't close this window. And you're not small people, mature elders. I cannot even scold you. If it was a child, I would have scolded. What Islam are you be bringing about? We should try and understand. If you find someone is doing something offensive and you've told him once or twice and he refuses, khalihi, leave him alone. Don't spoil your a'mal. This is what I was talking about in the hadith. Mal muflis. He will come with a lot of a'mal. But these petty issues, abusing others' rights, all his a'mal will be taken away, because in akhirah it is not about dollars and shillings. It is your a'mal that will be credited or debited. It's time for us to grow up and be mature. Love for the Prophet, you should learn how he treated his family. Not a single spouse or a single child has complained about the Prophet. Not a single servant has said that the Prophet raised his voice against them. Zayd ibn Harith was a slave. When his father came to find out where Zayd was, he came for Zayd. And he came and said, Zayd, I want to take you back home. And Zayd was from a very rich family, not a small family, a royal family. And Zayd looked at the Prophet, and the Prophet told him, you are free to go. Your father is here. You're coming from a rich background. With me here, you're barely surviving. We are going through poverty all the time. Zayd still chose the Prophet over his father. Zayd bin Harith still chose the Prophet over his father, because of the akhlaq, of the ma'amlat of the Prophet ﷺ. Today you ask any Muslim employee under a Muslim boss, they will say, Wallahi, I'd rather work under a Christian or a Hindu than work under a Muslim. Why? Because our Muslim bosses have no akhlaq. There is nothing Islamic about them. They just got Arab names, Umar, Abdullah, Amir, just Arab names. There are nothing Muslims in them, no Islam. We all know that if you tell someone that you've got a job at the UN or at Red Cross, everyone is very excited. Why? Because other than them paying well, they treat you well. But tell someone that you want to work with the Hilal Committee or with the Ibrahim bin Ibrahim Foundation or the Waqfs of Middle East anyway, Saudi or Gulf countries. None of them wants it. We hear about the housemaids every other day being abused by their employers in the Middle East countries. We have never heard the same in the European countries. Because we have Iman, we don't have Islam. We have believed in the Prophet, but we have not believed in Islam. Them, they have not believed in the Prophet, but they believe in Islam. Just recently in UK, a law came in that if you buy anything from the supermarket and you go home and after opening it you find it is defective, you can return it and it can be exchanged. In the Muslim countries, or even here in the African countries, it's written goods once sold cannot be returned. There you have opened a good, you found it to be defective. If you can prove that it was defective at manufacture, it will be exchanged. This is in Kitaabul Imaan, Ru'ya. Faskhul Bay'. Imam Shafi says you have got Khiyarul Ru'ya 3 days. It is there in Islam. But do you know about it? No. And if you knew about it, 90% there are chances that either the consumer or the seller would abuse those rights. The seller will say, no, you went and spoiled this thing at home, even if you swore by the name of Allah. And the consumer, he will go and if anything got spoiled, he will come back and say, this one, I bought it from you, it was defective. There's a high chance of abuse of that law. So what love do we have for the Prophet? We are just lying to ourselves. We treat our employers in the worst form. We pay them the minimal we can. Instead of paying them the maximum you can afford, we pay them the minimal that we can pay. We abuse their rights. If an employer sort of upsets you, you punish him by deducing his salary or her salary on petty issues. Yes, according to the law, you have to give a 21 days notice if you want to leave the job. And the same way for the employer, if you want to fire someone, you give a 21-day notice unless it is something that is very dangerous or is a hazard. If an employee leaves the job without giving the 21 days notice, according to the law, he is not even supposed to be paid for the days he's worked. But Sharia says no. How many of us have looked at this law? How many of us have said that although the law gives me this open forum that I can refuse with your pay because you have not given me 21 days notice, but I'm still paying you because of diyana, of religion. How many of us do that? How many of us during the non-Muslims holidays, we tell them, okay, here, take an extra and go and enjoy your holidays. Some of the sheikhs even say, it's haram, you're celebrating Christmas. We are not celebrating Christmas. This is mutual akhlaq. This is my employee. I know he wants to buy some gifts. I give him that extra income so as to make him know that I value him. It does not mean I celebrate his Christmas. During Udhiyah, when I give him the small meat, it does not mean that I've given him from the ibad of the fuqara al-Muslimin. But these are the things, the akhlaq, that make these people become Muslims. Even the munafiqeen did not have a single complaint against the Prophet. The Arabs themselves said in the يَعْرِفُونَهُ كَمَا يَعْرِفُونَ أَبْنَاءَهُم. The mushrikeen of Makkah, they say we know his character. In fact, we know that he is a prophet. We have more doubt on our children being ours than him being a prophet. But because of that inad, stubbornness, they refused to believe in him to become Muslims. They knew he's a prophet. Abu Talib knew he's a prophet. And now that I've talked about Abu Talib, there's some Muslims now, na'udhu billah, they write Abu Talib radiallahu anhu. Subhanallah. Tomorrow, na'udhu billah, you'll write Fir'aun alayhi salam. Stop being stupid. Abu Talib did what he did. Ala ra'si wal ayn. But when it comes to Iman, that is between him and Allah. Allah, he did not believe Allah. He knew Allah was one. He knew the Prophet was a prophet. But he said, I don't want the women of Makkah to say that Abu Talib was afraid of fire. And that's why he accepted Islam. This stupid stubbornness some of our elders have. And they call it ghira. It's not ghira. Sometimes it's stupidity. Sometimes it's stupidity. You go and kill your daughter or your son, maybe because he wants to marry in a tribe that you are not comfortable with. Instead of making him understand, you kill him. And you say it's ghira. This is not ghira, this is haram. This is stupidity. Islam does not give you that right. Love for the Prophet should be such that سمعنا وأطعنا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وللأمر منكم. We should be following the Prophet and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember everything that the Prophet Muhammad sallam says, وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ وَإِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. The second hadith that I read is whereby a person gets double the reward if he is a non-Muslim and min ahli kitab, and then he believes in the Prophet Muhammad, he becomes a Muslim twice. Remember, we Muslims believe everyone is a Muslim. The hadith of the Prophet says that every child is born a Muslim, فَأَبَوَاهُ يُهَوِّدَانِهِ أَوْ يُنَصِّرَانِهِ أَوْ يُجَوِّسَانِهِ. So, everyone is born a Muslim. Muslim means submission to Allah. But then, his parents turn him to be a Jew or a Christian or a Majusi, Hindu. So here, anyone who has believed in a previous prophet and then he believes in Muhammad sallam gets double the reward. He becomes a Muslim twice. Same way, although here it talks about the slave, but today we don't have slaves. It is you, as an employee, you serve your boss to the best and the maximum of your capability. At the same time, you do not compromise your religion. This is one thing that we usually do. You are in a meeting and you know it's time for salah. And he says, it's okay, dhuhr, we can pray later. Don't delay. Yes, dhuhr has got time from zawal ila mithlayhi mithluhu. It's a long time, but that does not mean, you know there's dhuhr time maybe is at around 1:15. Don't delay it because of some important meeting. Very recently, although it did not go viral, was the Taliban having meeting with some of the European officials. And when it came to Salah, they did not even excuse themselves, they just walked out and went and prayed their Salah. We don't give a damn about you. We are not going to ask you or him a permission for a Salah. And this one has a great impact. Personally, I have also experienced it. During Salah, when people are running for lunch, and you are standing there praying your dhuhr, wallahi, it gives you a very high profile, such that when you finish salah and you come down for food and the chefs have noticed that you are praying salah, they will make sure they get fresh food for you. When you serve Allah, Allah makes every creation serve you. So when it comes to your boss, make sure you serve him, but you do not compromise your religion. In France, there was a gentleman who got a very high profile job. He went for the interview, he passed the interview. The boss told him, I have just one problem with you. I want you to shave your beard. I don't want you to come here with that goatee, they called it. That's the only thing that makes me choose others other than you. So if you want this job, I want you to get rid of your beard. The person went home, shaved. Next morning at 8, he was at his job. When he arrived, the boss told him, I will not employ you. But he said, you told me yesterday I had all the qualifications. He said, yes, you have all the qualifications. But if you can disobey Allah because of me, a human, what are the chances that you'll be loyal to me tomorrow? If you can compromise your religion for me, a human, that means you are not a loyal employee. And he said, I cannot employ you. He was just putting him through a trial. Ask yourself, how many of us do that? I'm not going to lie to you. I also had a very high appointment. But during the interview, I was asked one question. How will you promote the rights of LGBTQ? LGBTQ stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer. Homosexuals, in other words. It stands for homosexuality. So other than just accepting them, we are told, how will you promote their rights? What rights? I said, no. What rights? What is between your legs should be between your legs. Why should you come and promote it outside? What rights? If you have got right to health, all of us have got the same right. Islam does not say that if you are bisexual, your health rights are taken away or your other rights are taken away. But it says that if you are doing a haram, it is still haram. It doesn't matter whether you are in a high profile job or a low profile job. I told, sorry Sheikh, we cannot give you this appointment because we want you to promote those rights. I will not compromise my deen for dunya. I will not compromise my deen for dunya. My fellow bishop or reverend got the job. And he told me, Sheikh, who told you that I have to promote the rights? I just have to lie. Subhanallah. You are a bishop. You have to lie. Just for the job. I'd rather forgo the job. So this is what Islam says. Will you compromise your deen for your boss? Here the hadith says, a person who serves his employer and serves his creator gets double the reward. And if you serve your creator, he will make sure your employer doesn't get any chance to undermine you. The last one is a concubine. We don't have concubines today. But we have got what we call the sponsor girls. Yes, most people think this is a taboo topic. It's not. Girls who are ready to have affairs with wealthy men so that they can sponsor their education and their lifestyle. Some of them even get married through the halal way. But the main issue is not that man, their main issue is money. So here, what we are talking about is whereby you can have this woman, but still you abstain from haram. Or the girlfriends. The girlfriend-boyfriend haram relationship, whereby you as a boy come in touch with a girl and she's ready to give herself to you in the come we stay relationship. She says, you don't have to get married. We can have the come we stay relationship. And you have all the chances. But still, because of the fear of Allah, you say, no, I want to get married to you. She has opened the door of haram for you, but you say, no, I want it halal. I want it halal. Today the world gets amazed. The other day, I don't know whether this news is true or not, one of a very high profile tennis player, she's now over 40, and she declared she's still a virgin. And people are like, what? Subhanallah. Virginity has become a curse, na'udhu billah. People have become laughing stocks because they are virgins. Subhanallah. A man is chaste, is pure, so people laugh at him and tell him, what type of guy are you? At this age, you still have not had intimacy. This is what it speaks about, whereby you have got the open door to haram and you still say no. Or whereby you have got a concubine which is still halal during the Sharia times, but you still file no. I have got this woman as my slave girl. I can have intimacy with her anytime. But still, you educate her, you instill morals in her, then you free her, and then you propose to her. Because once you free her, she can say no. But you risk that, so as to appease this person and give her that dignity. You could have had intimacy with her without any restriction, but you have, instead of demeaning her, you have appraised her and you have made her feel human, and then after that you propose for marriage. So you get double the reward. So my dear brothers, although time does not allow it, but I want us to sit down and ask ourselves, are we really Muslims? Do we really practice Islam, or do we just follow our whims and whims? Subhanakallahumma bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk, wa sallallahu ala khayri khalqi Muhammadin wa alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.